we filed for a grant with the Old Colony Planning Council, and we got an initial, and the grant was to update our plan, the open space plan. We know it's expiring, and we want to do what we have to do to get that. I think it's a matter of a vote of the selectmen, but I think what we need is to kind of go through it and decide what's been on it that has been done. Has anything been done? And is there anything that you want to add to it as a committee that you recommend that we add to it? So we're trying to get you a consultant to work with, but I was pretty surprised at what the cost of it was. They initially, just today, kind of guesstimated it as $30,000 matching grant from the town, which I'm not opposed to. If it's a 15 and 15, I'm not opposed to it anything. It just seemed awful expensive. So we're trying to dial in on that. And Dan had forwarded some names to you folks as well as to me of some other folks that may be able to help us with it. I think that, I don't know if OCPC, who did the initial work with us, I don't know if they're looking at a cost to start from scratch, because it shouldn't be that much money. It shouldn't take that much effort to just update this and revote it as the plan. But that being said, I know that you've been diving into it a little bit more. So, maybe, you feel differently and that it does need a lot more work. I don't know.
I can add something to it, Scott, that Melissa Cryon is in charge of grants for all conservation grants for the state of Massachusetts, and she has offered to help the town. She's offered to come down and talk with the town, with you possibly, about how we can update that open space and recreation plan. And Kathy Cretin was actually on the committee that wrote the one that we have now. So she could be instrumental. I know she's with the CPA, Community Preservation Act committee. So they could be instrumental in helping write this grant, write the plan, the open space recreation.
But, yeah, and I think, if we invite them to this next committee meeting that we're having, that might be helpful.
Yeah,
if they Zoom in with us, that would be great, and get some input. I
can reach out to Melissa Cryon if we have a date. If I'm given a date, I can reach out to her, and I can reach out to Kathy too if needs be.
And I'll put that to the committee if that's how you folks want to move forward with it.
Yeah, Alex Bezanson brought up a good point in our last meeting with him that, one of the good initiatives to put in there will be upgrades for the remainder of the playgrounds. I know they're doing the Beaver Brook playground, but, to, upgrade all those facilities, I think would definitely go a long way for the town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If there's any other way anyone can think of to sort of like solicit broader community input for the plan, I think that would be a big step.
So I think what we could do, since we want to, if you guys like the idea of doing the joint meeting, we could probably really push that meeting and do some community outreach to say, look, this is going to be, even if it's a Zoom meeting, everybody has the ability to log in and participate, that we can put it out there that we're having a hearing on this. We want everybody's input, and that might be the opportunity for them to do it.
Yeah, that sounds good. I don't want to speak for the rest of the team, but I think we're probably the most flexible as far as scheduling for, getting that meeting together.
Yeah, I think that's right, guys. And we were going to try to tonight have this meeting. If we were going to be in person, we were going to do 5:30 to 6:30 and then go over to the Conservation Committee meeting, sit in on their meeting and kind of get a feel for what they're doing, and then talk to them about combining efforts. I walked away because I was trying to print out the agenda for tonight. But that's one of the things, is do future joint meetings, particularly with conservation. But if there's another committee we should be meeting with too, then I think we need to get that on the docket as well.
So I think this is one of the better, because the plan I believe expires in April. So it would be good if we could do a February meeting. I know, the selectmen will be fine with it. And we can either schedule it. I'll talk with the Conservation commission chair tomorrow. I'll reach out to them and see if I don't anticipate there being a problem. I don't know how much stuff they have on their agenda that may be carrying over, that maybe we would just do it a separate night from what their regularly scheduled meeting is.
Yeah.
But we'll put something together. It would be nice because I just think we can get a lot done in one night.
Yeah.
And make sure that, nobody's duplicating anybody else's efforts. We're all on the same page, and everybody gets what we want to get done.
Yeah, I agree.
So who's going to contact conservation to set that up?
I will.
Okay.
I'll work on that. And if you don't mind reaching out to
Melissa and Kathy.
Yeah, actually, Kathy's on conservation, so
That's right.
Reach out to her through Tony, and that's fine. I think, but if you don't mind reaching out to Melissa, that'd be great.
Not at all. Okay.
And I think as far as a date goes, in February, maybe like the 15th or the 22nd.
What week is school vacation? Because I would probably.
That would be the week of the 20. All right. So maybe the week of the 15th would make more sense.
Just thinking if there's parents on the boards.
Yeah, that, and we do want to make sure that like the public has an opportunity if they want to jump in. I think there will be some people who would love to, jump in on it. We can put it out to the rec department and the rec commission too. They may want to jump on and, especially if we're looking to do anything with playgrounds or anything like that. One of the things that Dan and I were talking about earlier that I think, I want to put a nice web page together specifically for these things. But we were talking about, some of these properties and actually getting grant money to put in trails. I think it's great that we're going to take them and put them into conservation, but we want people to be able to enjoy them. I mean, there's a lot of nice things. I know, when COVID first hit, 2 years ago, and, everybody was sort of shut in for a while. I spent a lot of time down in Plymouth at the Wildlands Trust properties.
Yeah, and Ames Knoll.
Ames Knoll's over here. So there's lots of, there's plenty of areas that people like to go. So if there's grant money out there, but again, I think that's kind of a big thing that your committee can kind of look at and sort of work with, trying to identify where those trails should be. I think, Dan's helping us out with getting some of that grant money for it. What I'm finding is that the ARPA the American Recovery Plan Act money that we have, that the town has, our ability to spend it is a little easier with some of these new rules that came out the other day from the federal government, that we should be able to allocate some of it if we need for matching grants. Like typically, a lot of these agencies will give you, say, $50,000 to go towards designing the trail, but the town has to put in some sort of a match to it. And that would be a great source of our funding, that and the CPA. So, that's kind of, that's sort of the direction I'm getting from, the selectmen, that they want to go. I think they've heard everybody loud and clear that this is a kind of a priority, that, they don't want to see all of our land getting, disappearing and getting developed. So.
I think
okay.
Sorry, Dan. I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I think we're all pretty much on the same page, Scott, that we really want to try to get an Abington Town Forest created, and I think with that comes all these trails and having green space and putting money in and investing in those areas, and I think when we went towards that piece of land, was that Zero Chestnut?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
We thought that could be a nice, place to start. So I think if we can get that into conservation, and then once we are able to move that, make that recommendation, then we can start to apply for the grants to be able to go down that path, right?
That's a good start. Yeah. But I think we can easily lump that in with some of the other parcels, as far as I know it's not connecting, but Zero Rockland is, perfect place that the town never should have been up on an auction block. So we definitely want to preserve that now. And it has,
Linwood.
but yeah, I agree. We'll do whatever we can. Just let me know what you need from us. I think more than anything, you need some technical assistance on some of this, but
Yeah.
Four of the places that I've been able to identify as being really important to people is, number one, the Chestnut Street area that you were talking about, Zero Chestnut, because that would be of regional interest, and regional interest can generate more money in grants. And it also is a connection. It's a greenway for wildlife, but it's also a greenway for people to be able to connect from Ames Knoll up to the Holbrook Town Forest and into the Braintree Town Forest. And that trail would be really important, and that would be a great area for Abington Town Forest. But the Zero Rockland Street property is also, parcel, is also really important to the education of our students, because there could be a nature trail put in through there that the students could do environmental studies in as an outdoor classroom. The other one is the Zero Oakland property, and the reason I really like the Zero Oakland property is because it is an absolutely gorgeous place. It's an oak forest, and it is like unbelievable. It's like being in a fantasy world when you go out there. It's just so calm and peaceful and beautiful. And the only other, the fourth place that I was really zeroing in on was the Diane Circle area, where that connects up to Ames Knoll. So that would complete our greenway down to this other part of Abington. So those are the four areas that I think, Nikki, that you're really hitting the nail on the head, that we need to focus on, something. But if we focus on these four areas as getting them into conservation, because if you don't get them into conservation, they can slip through our fingers. And so I think there should be a priority to get as many of these areas into conservation as quickly as possible.
That's like quick and easy too, because I think everybody agrees and everybody's on board. So it's really a vote of Conservation Commission. Selectmen have already, but that's why I say, to do belts and suspenders. If we have a meeting that has selectmen, this committee, conservation all on one night, and we present this with the vote, then it's done.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think everybody wants to do it. So
Okay.
I'd be very surprised if there's any
Pushback.
whatsoever.
Okay.
Why don't we put the 4 properties on for the next meeting then? So
Yeah.
we could do that, the 4 that they're talking about.
So it's
And
Chestnut,
see.
Linwood, Rockland, and what was the fourth one?
Well, it's Chestnut, Zero Rockland, Zero Oakland, and Diane Circle. Are you calling that the Linwood?
That's
Pretty much.
Diane Circle, Jennings
It is.
Drive.
Yeah, that's off of Linwood Street.
Diane.
So Zero Chestnut, Zero Rockland, Zero Oakland, and the Diane Circle parcel. A couple of parcels were donated, and that area would be a nice area to have connect to Ames Knoll.
Okay, so we want to move those into conservation. So that would be joint.
That would be my wish.
Yep. No,
Yeah.
it makes perfect sense.
Now, once we move them into conservation, would the open space decide, would like to put some trails in there, or is it now? Is that how it works?
Yeah, no, I see it as, it's definitely something that you'd be working hand in hand with conservation. Will have is a control over that property, but it's a conservation restriction. So, the idea of us doing this is to preserve it for everybody to be able to actually use it, enjoy it.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure there is access. And when we say access too, is a lot of that access means to be accessible,
Right.
fully accessible for all.
Right.
So some of it may be difficult to do. But that, again, there's a lot of grant money out there. And I'm sure we'll receive quite a bit of it once we get going.
Okay.
Scott, one thing I sort of want to float out there about the trails is from some of my work experience. There's something called the Mass Rec Trail Statute, where if a landowner licenses their land for passive recreation, sort of like walking trails, like that's common for like utility right-of-ways, that absolves them from some of the like legal liability should someone get hurt out there, and it also would help them sort of like clearly spell out what you can and can't do, like no dirt bikes, no quads, stuff like that. It might be worth reaching out to the power companies. I've seen initiatives where they do things like go and plant all kinds of wildflowers along the right of way. They might provide like lighting upgrades or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, no, we can definitely reach out.
Great idea.
Yeah.
All right, so course of action then is to, as I'm looking at the agenda, one of the agenda points was future joint meeting with Conservation Commission. So Scott, you're going to reach out to them. We're going to look at the week of February 15th.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then in that meeting, we'll vote on getting these 4 properties and putting them into conservation. Right. And we vote jointly with Conservation Committee.
I think what has to happen is typically the selectmen have to sort of bless it and say, we want conservation to look at this.
Okay.
So it's actually conservation who gets the final vote, but we want a recommendation from your committee also saying, look, yeah, we've also looked at this and it does fall into line with what's in our open space plan. We think that it's a great spot for trails and we want to work with you. Conservation will then, I can't imagine why they would ever not vote to put a restriction on it. So,
okay.
That'll sort of be the process. And then it's kind of all done in that one night. And, anybody who wants to has that ability to say, well, wait a minute, what about this or that? Or
yeah,
I don't expect it to be anything, anybody against it. That's for sure.
Okay, and then if once they vote that it's going to go into conservation restriction, how long does it take for that process to happen before we can start to apply for grants?
I think it's just a matter of us, we have someone at KP Law, our legal team will, draw up the restriction and then we file it at the registry of deeds. I give it to the assessor. She makes some note of it. It's already town property.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier. Sometimes it's a little more different, but if it might be a little more labor intensive if it was private property, but we just took some private property and did the same thing, was gifted to the town. And it was really that simple. Once the votes were done, we just had our council draw up the new deeds and the restriction and we file it at the registry of deeds.
Okay. All right. So
it is a fairly quick process once we get going.
Okay. And then once that's done, we can meet again as a committee to start working together on filing for grants.
Yep.
Grant applications.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I think you're going to have to continue to meet. I think you're, right in February, getting into March to do whatever we have to do to officially update your plan, because that's all the grants will hinge, any grant will hinge upon us having that plan updated. And like I said, Liz is working to try and get us technical help on that. We'll talk with Kathy Crichton about it since, she was on the original committee that did it. So that'll be helpful. Like I said, I can't imagine there'd be a lot of heavy lifting on that one. The plan, I don't think anybody has done anything until you came along. So I think it's kind of just sat there. They did the plan and, that was it.
Yeah, it's really hard to get grant money if you don't have an open space recreation plan.
Okay. So we vote these 4 properties into conservation restriction. We add them to the plan, and then the plan gets approved by whom?
I think once the plan's updated, I believe it's a vote of the selectmen.
Okay. All right. So first action is to get these, meet with conservation, get these put into conservation restrictions. Second action after that would be for us to add them to open spaces plan and get that plan finalized so we can hand it off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you're not really handing it off because you're the keeper of the plan. And that's kind of what.
Well, we have to hand it off to the
plan.
selectmen, right? For them to
vote it and they're going to bless it.
Oh, gotcha.
And then it's good, I think, for like another 3 years.
Okay.
But over that course of 3 years, the things that you've identified or that have been identified in that plan are things that we want to look at, or your committee wants to look at, and make sure we're implementing and working on trails or in accessibility, and are there other properties and stuff like that. So your work doesn't end.
Right.
Which is good. And we'll if we've got it on our website that you're down a member. So if we'll put it out there a little more. But if any of you are aware of anybody else who might be interested, just send them to the website and ask them to fill out the talent bank form. And as soon as we get someone, we'll put them on your committee.
Okay. All right. So what else did we vote? We didn't vote to approve minutes yet from 11/23 meeting, right?
No, I realized I didn't add them to the email, so I can share my screen now and show them to everyone. Just
Okay,
give me
perfect.
1 second.
I'm gonna jump off. I get a 6 o'clock, and
Okay.
just one thing that I can't stress it enough. Maybe when you're doing the minutes and when you're Aaron, when you're setting the agendas, get them over to Tony, because it's the only way I can get them on the website. I know it's one more thing to remember, but if you can get them to Tony, the sooner you can get them to her, sooner I can get it up on the website. And especially now where you're going to be doing more Zoom meetings, we need to have it posted so anybody who wants to find it and find us and join the meeting can find that link. All right, so the sooner the better you can get it to copy me, copy Tony, anybody and everybody you can think of. Just that way we make sure we get it posted in time.
All right, thank you, Scott. Yeah, and also anything we can do to sort of get the word out there in advance of this next meeting about, just to solicit public input on the open space plan,
Yeah, I'll have Tony getting it on, we'll get it on Instagram, Facebook, and the website. And, anybody wants to listen, I think Dan has his channels that he can get it out there too, which is great. And I think we'll get some interest.
I'll share it on AGN.
All right, I got to jump off, guys.
All right.
Thank you, Scott.
Anybody
Thanks,
needs
Scott.
anything, feel free to call me. Have a good
Okay.
night,
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
too.
Thanks, Scott.
Take care.
All right. So we'll go through that.
Oh, right.
We're checking things off pretty good.
This is the best part of Zoom. You can.
All right. Can you guys see my screen okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just scroll down. Tell me if I'm going too fast.
Looks
No,
good.
this looks good to me.
Yeah. All right, Linwood, yes. Okay. Peaceful open space.
Oh, sorry. Am I going too fast?
No, you're good.
Okay.
Does anyone want to sort of give a brief recap of our site visit to 0 Chestnut Street?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Do we need to throw that in there?
Oh, should I add it to the minutes? Is that what you're saying?
No, I just mean like just now, since we are being like recorded and all that,
Yeah, we can. Do those minutes, are they okay with everyone?
Yeah, that's good with me. I'll make a
Yeah.
motion
Yeah.
to approve the minutes.
I motion to vote in the minutes.
All right, I second it. Oh, sorry, Aaron, I took your job.
No, I second it.
And then I think, Aaron, you say all in favor and then we vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I'm not voting because I'm not on the committee. So
Right.
All right. So I got those done. And then I started I guess we were supposed to be posting those at the library too. So there's now a binder at the library where you can also find them if
No.
anyone wants them, if you're bored, want to read the minutes. Every town
you.
committee's minutes are at the library in this like random little area. I found them all.
We really need to get alive in technology today and just start posting them electronically. It's like, who's going to the library? If people are doing Zoom and the Board of Health is trying to have people work from home, who is going physically to the library to get town meeting notes, you know?
I know.
That's a good question, because I heard that the libraries are trying to get everything online at some point.
Well, hopefully.
It's
Yeah.
just manpower. I think there's who's going to do it. You know, are you able to upload this? Would each committee be able to upload it to the town's website? Or
If they gave us access
That's
to.
what he was talking about. That's what Scott
Yeah.
was talking about, sending them to Tony Mulkey.
That's the problem. We don't have access to it to be able to. So, okay. So meeting minutes were approved. Discussion on adding new member for vacant seats. So Scott had already mentioned that. That's been posted. Yeah, I mean, it's been out there. I think the deadline was December 15th. I don't think anybody applied. So I'm going to mention it to my dad because he did conservation in Rockland with my grandfather. I don't know. He lives in Abington, so I don't know if he'll want to sign up for this because he's close to retirement and wants to get out of here, but to come on for a little bit.
It'd be nice if we could get someone to join that has some experience since we're all new.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens.
Okay, so at least that's good. So we're working on the vacant seat filling. Discussion on future joint meeting with Conservation Commission. And if Aaron, if I'm taking over, or,
Go for it.
let me know. Just trying to help us just kind of tick off the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
So Scott's going to reach out to Conservation to plan a joint meeting for us the week of February 15th.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully there we can talk about and vote on those 4 properties going into conservation restriction.
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Okay.
I was wondering, all those properties that are on that list?
Mm-hmm.
We should just take a quick look and see, like some of them in that plan says they're for 40B and all that are on there. So I think we should really look at that really pretty quick so that doesn't happen. To some of the other properties too, I'm not sure.
In the open spaces.
Yeah, that the plan like in the back book, I think it showed all different stuff that they want. You could use this property for this and this. Just make sure there's nothing in there if we don't get to it before.
Yeah.
That someone decides they want to use it.
Well, I don't know if I can divert a little bit, but there is a new thing that the state is requiring 1,000 more housing units in Abington, and they're thinking, the planning board is talking about, well, this could be a certain area, or it could be spread out or whatever. And Rick mentioned that near the Abington Center would be a great place to start more development, and so the idea is that rather than going out into your pristine areas and building homes in natural areas that are really important to us for our environment and our health, build the stuff where things are already paved over and parking lots and things like that.
Oh, that's good.
So on that note, Dan, actually, the latest I saw on that was that they're actually going to try to build by the train station over by me.
Yeah, that parcel that is on Summer Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that the 40B people have been talking about, and I mean, there's all this discussion about how many units are going to have to be built, and do these are these considered in that number? But that's a different thing.
Okay. That's something different.
I mean, that would count in the thing, but that's an area. I don't know if you've been over there. Have you been over there and looked at the woods in there?
I haven't. Also, right now the Woodlands is over there. That's already an apartment housing complex. I think the idea would be to expand off of their, like, I guess, parallel to their property. I was reading about it. Let me see if I can pull up the town website, because I thought it was on the Abington town website.
Did it get voted through? I know it was on the agenda for one of the selectmen meetings.
I don't look. Let's
I
see.
don't know if
Zoning.
it goes to a vote if it's a 40B.
Yeah. So,
What's that, Aaron?
I think if it's a 40B, it doesn't go to a selectman vote. I think that they can bypass that.
Right. They can do anything.
So who approves a 40B?
Zoning Board of Appeals. So,
Right.
let me show you. Let me share my screen. You can see. So this was posted on December 13th on our town website. They held a public meeting, which I didn't know about, on the 16th on the petition of limited dividend affiliate of WP Acquisitions, whatever, for a comprehensive permit under MGL Chapter 40B. So this one, right, Dan, this is only 236 units. The current woodlands would be removed.
Right. Yeah. I mean, not. There's no respect there. It's like they'll be removed.
Right. The paved travelway would remain in place, which I don't know what that is, with additional improvements. And the application is available for public review at the town clerk's office. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if that went anywhere because click here to see application.
I think I heard someone say that there was a real poor turnout for that, and they were really disappointed that there was a poor turnout.
I'm sure.
Well, if that's how it was posted, I mean.
Yeah.
I love it. They posted on December 13th, the meeting's on the 16th. It's like,
right.
Yeah. And who's on the Abington Town website every day?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I know that the residents of that area, when they did have a Zoom meeting that everybody knew about, they had so many people come out that that plan fell through.
Well, that's part of the timing strategy. The
technique. Yeah. And, I understand the concept of cluster development and so that you're not spreading out into your natural areas. And along the commuter rail makes perfect sense to me because people can take the train. But the idea of, and I don't know how people feel in that area. I don't live in Abington Center over there by 139 that goes up through, that area where the old depot is and everything. You know what I'm talking about? That's Abington Center, right?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know how people feel about that around there, but the idea was that there's a lot of land and parking lots in there that, if that area was built up, and I was even thinking, and I don't know if I'm out of line saying this, but I was even thinking that, it could be designed in such a way as that place was upgraded where there was a walking mall or something like that. There was these great shops, and the idea of making it COVID friendly, like figuring out a way where people can go out and be together, but not have to worry about COVID. There's so many things that we could do in Abington, and the idea of cluster development in an area like at the Abington Town Center, would that be something that people would object to?
Yeah, well, and we have that school is abandoned, right?
And there's that other big art building, right? What was that other building?
Right, New England Art is across the way.
But I have
school, you're right, it's empty. There's nothing happening there.
I have to say though also that the issue of how much water Abington has, how many more students can Abington handle, how many more police and fire, do all of a sudden you need a ladder truck? There's so many things that can happen with personally, I feel like our whole area is overdeveloped already.
Hey, Dan?
To me. Okay, I'm off the subject.
I agree.
Hey, Dan, sorry, but I noticed Paul Bunker joined. He's the chairman of the Conservation Commission.
Oh, yeah.
So I wasn't sure if he might want to take a minute to introduce himself to us.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Oh, no problem. I just got home from work. I figured I was hoping you guys are still on, so.
Yeah, Scott was with us for a little bit. We, discussed February having a joint meeting between the Conservation Commission and the Open Space Committee, mainly to talk about the 4 sites that were brought to us for a decision: Oakland Street, Rockland Street, Chestnut Street, and Diane Circle, and then also to discuss, updating the open space plan. And, getting together to sort of, solicit public input for that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what our meeting schedule is. It's usually the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of each month. So, I mean, whichever meeting you guys want to come to, I mean, I think it'd be great. Get the ball rolling on this.
Sounds good. Yeah, and I think Scott also wants to have the selectmen there. So the ball's in his court to sort of get everyone together.
Yep.
Scott did mention the 15th, didn't he?
Yeah, the week of the 15th.
Yeah, the 15th. That's right.
Yeah.
If that works for you guys, I can look at the.
It's a Tuesday,
So that's
isn't it?
the 3rd. Yeah, the 15th is the 3rd Tuesday of the month. The only reason, Paul, we didn't want to do the 22nd is because that's school vacation week.
Oh, yeah.
There might be a lot of people out that week.
And we're probably still going to be doing it via Zoom anyway, so I'm sure
It won't matter.
doesn't really matter when it is.
Well, I think it was for the public to be able to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, be involved.
Well, we can wait until we hear from Scott because he'll have to get the selectmen schedule too. So that'll probably be more complicated.
Yeah.
Paul, one of the things was we were talking about getting these into getting those areas conservation restrictions, as soon as possible.
Yep. I mean, obviously, like I said to you, Dan, all that land over on Diane Circle, now with those other 2 parcels that we put into conservation last, I think in November, December, you basically with that land in Diane Circle, if you can put that into conservation, you basically have all the land from the state park almost to the Brockton line that's protected.
Yeah,
That'll be great.
On the Brockton line over at Route 123, I should say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's the green belt we talked about.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, Oakland Street, Rockland Street, I'm really not too familiar with those parcels. I saw your video that you put up back in, what was it, July? Before the auction. I mean, that land over on Rockland Street, beautiful. That too should be protected.
Yes. Yeah. I had talked about Oakland Street. Zero Oakland Street is a beautiful, gorgeous oak forest. Rockland Street, there's the possibility of working with the schools to, if we created a trail out there, the schools could do outdoor classrooms and environmental studies in that area because it's connected to the school property.
Yep. And I know for conservation with DEP, we're planning on in the spring now having that field training with Andrew Point, and we're thinking about doing it over at that land on Oakland Street.
Yeah.
So it'd be, if we can get people out there for that, get more people involved and see what the town has.
Right. And the Zero Chestnut Street is the greenway that connects up to the Holbrook Town Forest.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at in terms of wanting to meet up with you guys. And
Let me ask you a question. Do you guys have any information on the land on Chestnut Street. I think it's like 23 acres, the Parecki farm.
I believe that Parecki Farm is owned by the family, and they haven't been able to. Jim Dombrowski would be a person that has all the information of this, because I know that 25 years ago they were working on this idea. So it's been around, and I know Jim Dombrowski has a lot of information about it. But it's the Parecki Farm. I believe the family has not been able to be located, and the taxes are in arrears, and that's as much as I know about it.
Yeah, because I know the plan for that was, 'cause I'm also on the Abington, the Ames Knoll committee, and the plan was for the town to acquire that land and then turn it over to DCR. So basically, they can complete the loop of the state park.
And I've talked to the gentleman from the DCR in charge of that area, and he's very, very anxious to be able to do that. He's definitely cares about the environment, and so that would be really an easy thing to do, I think.
What's that?
Just gotta find the family.
Yeah. Either that or the town takes it by eminent. I don't know how they do that. Because they haven't paid their taxes.
Yep. But that, to me, that's an important one to see if we can push to acquire that land legally.
Yes.
What's the name of that parcel?
Parecki. Parecki.
Parecki.
I don't know how do you spell it. Parecki Farm.
P-E, I guess. Farm. This is near Ames Knoll.
It's on Chestnut Street. If you're coming from Hancock Street onto Chestnut, it's before the high tension wires.
Okay. So that's something we'd have to put on the agenda to have Scott look into, right? Because he'd have to look into the town acquiring that.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that was discussed with the previous town manager too. I know he was working on it. I don't know how much he was working on it, but
okay,
it's been ongoing for a while.
Okay.
We can make sure we add it to the agenda of the joint meeting, then the selectmen will hear it too.
Yeah, so I add to joint meeting agenda. Okay. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Paul. That's helpful. I have the open spaces plan here. I was just trying to look through it and see if that piece of land was in here or not, but it doesn't sound like it would be if it's privately held.
I remember Scott talking about this at our first meeting, so I think he is aware of it.
Okay.
I don't know what's happening with it, but this sounds familiar to me.
Oh. Hold on. I don't know if you can see that. It says, the caption says, scenic Cushing Pond on former Parecki land and other private land with town holding to the rear beyond the pines. So it's in our open spaces rec plan. So I think we obviously need to either keep it in there or get the selectmen to take it and then give us permission to do whatever we need to do to get it into conservation or whatever.
I think it's part of the Chestnut area that we've been talking about that could make a good town forest.
Oh, so it's already considered part of that parcel?
I think it's on the other side of 500 Chestnut, the area that.
Yeah, it's on the other side. For sure it is.
And that area is an area of Atlantic white cedar swamp, which is tremendous and tremendously valuable ecosystem.
Okay.
All right. So if we keep moving through, are there any other specific things people want to talk about tonight, or should we look towards the next meeting now?
Well, guys, I'm going to duck out. I have another meeting in 20 minutes, so I'm going to go
Paul,
spend some time with my son.
Are you guys meeting tonight?
No, we're not.
Okay, all right. Because we were going to jump into your meeting if you were, but okay.
Nope.
No, thank you for jumping on. We appreciate it.
And Aaron's got my email, so if you guys need to get in touch with me for anything, just I'm always around.
Okay.
All right, nice meeting you guys.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Paul.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Yeah, so I think we can hold off on discussing open space plan, right? Because
Yeah, we're kind of at a standstill right now until that joint meeting. I feel like there's not too much we can move forward with without everyone's approval.
yeah, so
I don't even know if we can pick our next well, I mean, we can pick another meeting, but it might be really close to the joint meeting.
Yeah, because let me pull the calendar up.
Yeah, it might be worthwhile to just wait and see what they decide for that meeting and just consider that our next meeting too.
Or do you want to do like a half, like, I don't know if we can decide a meeting date without being in this kind of forum. Like, do we need to do like a quick meeting date to pick a time, or are we allowed to just vote on a time on our own? Or should we ask Scott?
I think we can decide via email as long as we let the public know with enough notice. I think.
Okay, when it is and where it is. Okay, so we can just do it through email then. That's fine
Yeah,
with me.
that's fine.
Because I think if we schedule anything right now, we're going to end up changing it anyways.
Yeah, agreed. One thing, if you guys go on abingtonnews.org, that's where you can see Baker administration says Abington needs potential for 1,000 housing units in new zoning district. So Dan, that's what you were referring to.
1,000 housing units?
Multifamily housing units around the town's commuter rail station, according to housing guidelines being drafted by the Baker administration. Guidelines are part of a 2020 state law that requires cities and towns served by the MBTA to create zoning districts that would allow developers to build multifamily housing, quote, by right, close quote, meaning without needing special approval from local boards.
So they're just going to make everything near the commuter rail like a mini city.
Look at Union Point.
Yeah, I know. No one lives there. It's empty. So why do we need 1,000 if that's empty?
That there's so much housing around there, and the housing is not cheap in there.
It's not, and they're strict too. They're really strict in there.
Yeah. The projects would still need to meet all other local zoning, conservation, and design rules. But it says the planning board. So this came out Sunday. The Abington Planning Board will discuss the new guidelines at its meeting Monday night, which was last night, which will take place via Zoom. Communities must submit any comments by March 31st. Baker administration will then issue a final version of the rules a few months later. There are still a number of unanswered questions about the new guidelines, such as whether towns like Abington can count existing multifamily units towards its goal, or what happens if a community lacks the water and sewer capacity to serve the district. And the units don't actually have to be built, just allowed by right under the new zoning. Yeah.
How close to the MBTA do they have to be? Does it say?
Let's see. It says the new still has residents who live near the MBTA station worried. The roadway has become an increasingly popular shortcut for drivers between 58 and 18, which is very true.
Yeah.
Let's see. The 2020 law said the zoning district should be of a reasonable size with a minimum density of 15 units per acre, be located within a half a mile of the station, and be suitable for families. The Baker administration, which released the draft guidelines the week before Christmas, says the zoning districts must consist of at least 50 acres of buildable land. So it doesn't say how close that it would have to be to the train.
Well, it's interesting because, like you said, Dan, near the center of town is really the only place that has like open concrete that's not being used. So any place that they try to do this within half a mile, it's going to involve open space in some way, I'm assuming, unless they only develop the center of town.
Right.
But even the center of town isn't within half a mile.
Yeah, there's no
Right.
train station there, is there?
So it wouldn't count. Yeah.
Not unless they turn the depot into a stop,
Right.
which it used to be,
Right.
you know, but that's just, I
I
mean,
don't see that
you
happening.
could, but I don't
Yeah.
see them doing that.
Yeah.
But that would make sense. I mean, you have so much, like you said, first of all, there's lofts over there. There's brown buildings that are just like empty,
Yeah.
large brick buildings that you turn them into condos, apartments, whatever.
Right.
If they're not going to get utilized, it's going to, at least that would prevent more building happening in the town,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. But it's something that we as a board should keep an eye on if, you know, planning's going to have to keep an eye on this too from the state.
Yeah.
They're probably
Yeah.
going to reach out to
Do you-
us.
Do you think once we transfer this land into conservation, can they change it and say you have to build there?
No, I
Can
think
the
that's what
conservation turn? You know,
I
I'm just wondering if
don't
we have to
think
put
so.
anything else on it.
didn't you
I
ask
think
that,
there would
Dan,
be
one time?
restriction-
Conservation
Okay.
restrictions are the strongest protection, and they're once you put something into a conservation restriction, I think that there's a lot of hoops that you have to jump through to change it. So
Okay.
it is the strongest. And then there's Article 97, which I'm not an expert on, but that also strengthens the conservation. It's a complicated thing because there's so many different people that are affected in different ways. People in the area of the downtown, I don't know how they feel. Hamilton Center
Right.
would feel about more people living in there.
But
I live down there and I wouldn't mind it. The only thing is the roads are too small. Our roads can't handle these many people.
yeah.
The town can't handle this.
It's true.
It's just a little teeny town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a small town.
Yeah.
That's
Well, and the
terrible.
town, a lot of the houses around there are already multifamily properties that are,
Yeah, there are quite a few. Yeah.
you know, they're like old antique homes that have been converted into multifamilies.
But I guess if they have to be within half a mile, they won't count those,
Right.
which is frustrating.
I think it's so hard because there's so many things, and I know I keep myself in a narrow focus that preservation and protection of resources as far as nature is concerned has been my focus, and that's what I'm really trying to stick to, is because if we build on nature, we'll never get it back. You know, once it's gone forever, and these areas that we have, Zero Chestnut is a beautiful area that, if we protect it, future generations are going to be able to enjoy it. And it's not always about the quantity of life; it's also the quality of life. So I think open space is a very important committee because that is really about quality of life.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think our future meetings will be the big ones where we'll really get those votes done and be able to move forward with grants and all that stuff. So in the meantime, I guess we just keep reviewing the open space plan and get ready for the next meeting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So I'll put out a motion to adjourn.
I would
Erin, I
second
just
it.
want to say, Erin,
Uh-huh.
you're doing a great job too
Oh, thank
on
you.
doing the agenda.
Yeah,
You are. You're doing really good.
it's so hard to remember and to remember the minutes and stuff. Like, you're doing great,
And
Erin.
you too, and who's ever and doing
Yeah,
the
Megan, good job
minutes is
doing the
great.
meeting notes. Thank you.
Oh,
Yes,
gosh.
that's a
Minutes.
hard job.
I'm going to
Thank
send
you
you guys.
both. Molly is.
I'm going to send you guys out some maps of the Parecki Farm property, and I'll send them to Scott.
Awesome.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Because and Erin, if you want, I mean, if we want to, just via email, decide what we want to put on the agenda for when we're going to meet with conservation.
Mhm.
You know, that should be pretty quick. I think you'll pretty much just take the form we have now and just slightly update it with the Parecki Farm conversation. What else did we have? Putting those four into conservation restriction. and then open space plan. I mean,
Mhm.
those are really the three big, I think, agenda items we have to look at for the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like we're getting someplace finally.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Tread mud.
I feel good.
I agree with Roberta. You guys are doing a great job. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan. Well,
Thank
thanks
you,
for all
Dan.
your
You're very
help.
helpful. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
big time. Though we'd be chasing our tails.
Yep. For sure.
If we lost on Chestnut Street somewhere.
I know, right? All right, I'll motion to adjourn one more time just because I didn't get nobody.
Okay.
Nobody
I'll
seconded.
second it again.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Aaron, what do you say? Meeting adjourned.
All right, awesome. Thanks, everyone.
You get to say all in favor.
All in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No one.
Awesome.